Hey guys, welcome to the Kane Audio vlog. It's Friday, so it's time for another Ask Me Anything. Usual rules apply. Comment anything you want below this video and I'll get to you in next week's video and answer the question, hopefully. This week, house admin. I don't think there's anything pressing. What has happened? No, I've still been polishing off some remixes, doing some TV sync stuff. Did a really cool mix down job for a client. In fact, done 2 or 3 of those. What else? Accidentally broke my phone. That's about it. So yeah, I don't think there's anything I need to be telling you about anyway. So straight on to last week's video. I don't think there's any big questions in here. I've had a quick skim through the other day, so I think this video might be a fairly quick one. Starting at the top, Kevin's Ramek Fake High Five. Space Cadet still sounds really good in my opinion, even if it was from the late 2000s. Yeah, it probably was. And yeah, I like it. It's just one of those, I think for me that was, anyone who sort of followed this channel will know I sort of talk about picking your sounds right and getting individual sounds to complement the other sounds to build the track, and sort of focusing on that. And I feel like that track, along with another one I did called Tonal Display, which was probably a bit before that one, but certainly that one was where I kind of I built the track and just, I felt like everything just clicked for me as a producer, and I felt like that was a kind of a turning point for me. Not in any way of, you know, getting signed to big labels or anything like that. I was already DJing a lot all over the world at that point, but as a producer I just felt like I'd just turned a corner, I suppose. Yeah, and I still like that track today. Funnily enough, you guys have talked about, and in the producer group on Facebook, you've talked about YouTube copyright, and we've covered it quite a few times in these AMAs from different angles. Interestingly, so last week I listened to one of my own tracks on this video and uploaded the video, and within about half an hour I got a copyright notice come through on my email saying that a copyright notice a copyright claim had come through, which I sort of chuckled at because it's my own track. So that's proof of what I've been saying. That's an automated thing, and that was on FXpansion Records, which is my own label, and my distributors, The Orchard, they use an automated service to submit takedown notices or copyright claims. And that's another important point I kind of wanted to let you guys in on, was there's a big difference between a copyright claim and a takedown notice, especially when it comes to YouTube. A copyright claim means that I could be wrong here, it's something like I can't monetize the video if somebody else's copyrighted material is on it, whereas a takedown notice is well, exactly that you've got to take it down. So you've got options then. I think it offered me an option of not monetizing the video, which I don't think any of my videos get monetized anyway, do they? If they do, let me know, because I'm not interested in building ad revenue unless that helps build the channel, maybe through YouTube algorithms. But I'm not interested in $2 a month for all of you guys to just sit through boring adverts. But I'll look into that when the time comes. I think you need over thousands of subscribers, or I don't know what it is. But yeah, let me know if you do get adverts in the middle of my videos or whatever, because I'll look into that. It bugs me, and I use an ad blocker on YouTube myself, so I don't get the adverts anyway. what was I talking about? So yeah, so you get the option of a copyright claim has been submitted. You can either demonetize the video, or you can mute the video, which I suppose is all right for some people, or you can dispute the claim. So for me, obviously, I own the copyright of that track that was playing, so I just hit dispute the claim, and it asks you why you think it's wrong, and I just fill in the box saying, I am Dom Kane, I am FXpansion Records, it's my copyright, and I've given myself permission, and then I think it's usually a few weeks later it comes through. So yeah, if last week's video comes through muted, or there's any weird shit on there, then that's probably why. So there we go. Which is why, if you remember, for those who regularly follow this channel, I think 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, somebody linked a YouTube video to a techno track that was a good track, and I had to play it really quietly. I was less careful with my track because I knew it was going to pick up on the microphone, and I knew if a copyright notice comes through, it's my copyright. Whereas with other people's stuff, so again, if you're going to send me links to YouTube stuff, just be aware that when I play it back, I have to play it quiet, because I have to hope that the microphone doesn't pick it up. Anyway, there we go. So yeah, that was a long rant. Probably should have been in-house admin, but whatever. So yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. Cavagay, fake, high five. You're clearly not old. Okay, I'm not. I don't. What's that in reference to? Did I say I'm old? I'm kind of old. But cheers. Nightcraker, hey Dom, thank you very much for responding to my question. I have another one. Can you please recommend me a DAW controller similar to the old Euphonics MC Control? Something with mappable faders, lots of bindable buttons and knobs, etc. Maybe a screen. Thank you. Don't say thank you, because I can't. I struggled myself, so I think last week, I think this is probably why you're asking, and I think you asked on the producer group in Facebook as well, if you're the same person. I have seen that, and I haven't responded because I honestly don't know the answer. So I think this comes off the back of a discussion I had a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about setting up a live scenario, and I've got an old Evolution, I can tell you, hang on, this takes me back. Evolution, can that show? Yeah, and you can see I've written all over it with various bits. Yeah, that so this was from back in the day when I was doing a lot of touring and I was doing laptop sets, and I had Ableton, so I had 9 sliders, 3 dials per slider, and then some punch-in buttons as well, so I could change headphone channels between different tracks. I could use beat repeats and some of the trigger type effects, and then the dials were set to different things on different channels. It was all very confusing because I had, I think it was like channel 1 and 3 and 5 were my main decks, and then 2 and 4 and 6 were VST or clip channels, and then so depending on whether it was a clip channel or a main channel, I'd have either EQs or filters, fades, repeats, and various bits and pieces. Yeah, so I could filter out the bass line of a track and then bring in my own bass line or whatever. So that was kind of the plan. This thing I really liked. It was, I don't think it was, it's got sand in it, I think. That's full of crap. It's been around the world several times. You know, I'm not complaining. And it was cheap at the time. So yeah, so it did me well, and that's been in a box for years. So when it comes to doing a live set, I wanted something like that, but as you've said, you know, you want more punch-in buttons and things like that, and I could never really like it. It was a toss-up between that and I used the NI machine as well, and it was kind of a weird combination that just didn't really quite sit comfortably with me. When I started putting together my more recent last few years worth of tracks into what I was going to push as a live set, I sort of narrowed it down to, right, I need X amount of channels, I'm going to need this, that and the other, and I sort of worked it backwards, knowing what I want my set to be and what it should sound like, to then go, right, what do I need to trigger what? And that's where I got stuck, to be honest, because it just, there didn't seem to be anything out there that really offered me what I wanted. And I guess the only way forward from that is a custom controller, and that's when you get really expensive. So for me personally, I think maybe when the time comes where I'm ready to have a proper full album, then maybe I can talk to some management teams or agencies and try to get an album tour. And if I've got a set amount of gigs where, say, you know, I know I'm going to be playing 10 nights, whatever, on tour, then I can kind of justify getting a custom controller and spending money on that, because I know that it will pay for itself and hopefully cover costs. But until then, you know, I think last time I looked, you're looking at sort of minimum 500 quid for a basic piece of crap. You're looking at closer to thousands for something that was going to be actually useful. So yeah, and then you mentioned you wanted a screen on there as well. Yeah, ideally that would be great. I just haven't seen one. So if any of you guys have seen one, please help Nightquaker out and link him in. Also link me in, because I'd be interested to see that. So there we go. Ricky John, fake, high five. Hi Dom, my comment last week didn't show up. Another one. So I guess it's still an ongoing issue. I think the question was about reverb. How much is too much? I remember seeing that. Or how many elements having reverb is too many before soup? Can't quite remember. So in response to that, it's a really tricky one to answer, because I think everything, you know, everything's relative, isn't it? And if you've only got 4 channels of drums and a little bit of bass and that's your entire track, then drenching everything in reverb is just going to sound horrible. Whereas if you are aiming for some really weird ambient electronica and you've got lots of lush pads and strings and even some sharp percussion sounds, then drenching a lot of that in reverb could sound really good. So it's a tricky one. I think it needs to be in context of the individual track. Generally speaking, I tend not to use much reverb, other than I guess for me, I've never really thought about it, but thinking about it now, if it's a short, sharp sound, that could be percussion or lead melody, whatever, but it's not fundamental to rhythm and groove. So if, for example, you're doing a drum and bass or dubstep or a broken rhythm, a breakbeat track, and you're wanting that really sharp shuffle groove with a real staccato texture to it, then you wouldn't want any reverb in that. You want things really dry. At most, you know, maybe, you know, 100, 150 millisecond decay and 5% wet, you know, and roomy reverb. So it needs to be short and sharp. Whereas again, if your vibe is more of a fluid movement, so for example with my tracks, they're more progressive, they're more deeper and driving, then the shorter sounds, like the lead melodies in particular, I'll usually put a fair bit of reverb on those, because they're not creating the groove, they're not creating the rhythm, so I can expand that sound and let it flow into the next note or chord or key or drum hit or whatever it is. One can flow into the other quite smoothly, and that's where I think reverb comes in handy. As for adding depth to things, which I think is what you were talking about, was, you know, making a track sound fuller. Again, I kind of revert back to, maybe you've missed a step if you're looking at that, because maybe you need to go back another step and look at the original sounds. Maybe if you're talking about lead sounds, then maybe adding some release onto it, some release time, or some decay, or lowering the sustain and extending the release, or something like that, so that it shapes the waveform rather than just reverb. Yeah, so it's difficult to answer without context, but hopefully that gives you an idea, to a starting point. Mostly commenting now to say thanks as always, and hope you're well again soon. Oh yeah, thanks. Oh yeah, I was ill, wasn't I? Yeah, no, I'm back to normal now. Thank you very much. Also, seriously looking forward to the new Sonic Academy Mixdown series when it's out. Have a great weekend. You too. Yes, so I haven't heard from the guys at Sonic Academy this week, so I'm guessing it's not out today, but I'll chase them up later and find out. I know that we had to reschedule it, and I know that their schedule's pretty tight, so I don't know if that means it'll be out in a week or a month or what. But I'll nearly dropped my coffee. But yeah, I'll obviously keep you in the loop on that. So cool. Balazun, 3 minutes 33. There was an AMA, so this is in reference to 3 minutes 33 into last week's video. There was an AMA from Feed Me yesterday. He mentions dimension expander squishes mid into the sides. I think it's the opposite of a mono maker. Yes. He does say it's better not to dimension expand everything, and better to record left and right separately to avoid phase issues. So I imagine it's better to know what you want from the beginning and record in mono. Yes, I would agree with that. For me, I like making things mono by frequency, and I guess that's a bit different. So for example, certain bass lines, especially when you're using something like Serum, they can be quite expanded in the stereo field, and if that's a bass note, sometimes it can sound great, but sometimes it just catches me out a bit. And so what I tend to do is multi-band mono maker it. So I'll make the frequencies below, say, 150 hertz mono, and then anything above that, so any of the sizzling harmonics or distortion or whatever there is in that sound, I don't know, but something that offers up in the upper frequencies, that then stays stereo. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, if for example you're using a sine wave bass line, then there is just no point in having more than one wave or one oscillator, and you may as well just make that mono from the onset, because you just don't need it to be stereo if it's a sine wave bass line, because it's not going to be offering any significant benefit by having more than one voice on a sine wave oscillator, unless you're wanting it to distort and saturate itself, which is a whole other story. I've been wondering the same thing. Was told by someone on Discord the other day that removing the sides is the same as a mono maker. So yeah, maybe we should look into this, but you're saying I have my doubts. Me too, because I don't think it's just a case of removing the sides. It's more a case of phase inverting one side to then match the other side, and that's the trick inside a mono maker, is more because you've got left, center, right. If you phase invert the right, it matches the left, which cancels out the stereo sides to bring it into the mono, I think, off the top of my head. So it's more to do with that, because if, for example, you had a lead panned hard left and a lead panned hard right, then they are 100% stereo signals. So the way to test this is do that, get two of the exact same synths, pan one hard left, one hard right, and stick them in a group channel so that they're both going through the same stereo output. On that stereo output, stick in a mono maker and see what happens. Because if it's removing the sides, then it should just be silent. If it's pushing the sides to the middle, or phase inverting and directing to the middle, then you should still be able to hear it, which I think would be a better thing to have as a result, because you're not losing things directly then, you're just shifting them to the middle. So yeah. Rod Marconi, hi Dom, thanks for the useful and constructive answer to my question about reference tracks, much appreciated, have a great weekend, fake high five. Balazan, hi Dom, what happened to that electro course that you did for Sonic Academy in 2013? Or am I just imagining that there was a 2013 electro course from you? I don't remember doing one for Sonic Academy in 2013, but that doesn't mean I didn't. Okay, where was I in 2013? Okay. Yeah, I don't think I did one for Sonic Academy then. I'm not sure if I even did one at all that year. Fader Pro, no, that was a couple of years after. And then there was Producer Tech, would have been before that. That wasn't Sonic Academy though. Yeah, I don't think I did one for Sonic Academy in 2013 or even around there, to be honest. So that might have been someone else, not sure. And then I think we're getting to the end. St. Nicholas, fake high five. Deadly Custard, so fake high five. Obard Thorn, I'm not fake like the reptilians from the government. Oh Jesus. High five. And that, my friends, is it. So it's been a pretty quick one, 20 minutes. Yeah, as usual, have a great weekend. I've got loads of crap I need to get on with, so I will see you this time next week. Drop a keyword to show you've made it this far into the video, and the keyword, let's see what recommended videos we've got here. London, let's have that as the keyword. So if you've watched this video this far in, then comment the word London to let me know and you'll get a high five. Other than that, there's nothing else to say. See you next week. Cheers.